Hi everyone, welcome back to our Tesol course, and not necessarily lesson 7, but it is a lesson. So I think we'll put a line through that one, and I'll put a line right through that. Okay, but this is a lesson, and today's lesson, or this lesson, is on courtesy. Now you may not have thought about that. Maybe you think courtesy, isn't that something for maybe a call center agent or someone working at Walmart or a bank, something of a customer service type orientation. But you know what? We need courtesy too in this career field. A lot of times I've seen, observed teachers who are not so courteous. There's a traditional mindset that leads us to believe as teachers we can command the class, and of course we very well can, but does that lead to a good effect? And so simply going to talk a little bit about courtesy. Going to show you a few things that maybe you had not considered before. Very simple lesson. Got a lot of slides, but we'll go through them relatively quickly, simply because they're going to show you some things, and then we'll give you some answers. And so in this lesson, we're going to look at how we can be more courteous in our interactions with our, yes, they're students, but guys, they're also our customers. Now think about that. Where's the money coming from? It's either coming from the children's parents, it's coming from the adults. Of course, you're thinking, well, I teach in a company, the money's coming from the company, but where does the company get the money? It all goes back to customers. Now, if we're going to do a good job, we need to have happy customers. Happy customers are people who are either going to come back or they're going to tell other people about your teaching, in particular, and generally speaking, the company you're with, or the school, or the academy. Okay, so let's get started. Now let's be courteous. This is a picture of a greeter in Walmart, that's in the USA. Walmart is well known for their customer courtesy. They're very happy to see you, and they actually hire people who will come and stand at the door of the entrance and greet people. I don't know about you, but when I walk into a business and I feel or I get a greeting like that, big warm smile, a greeter, a hand up in the air, I feel happy. I feel good about coming there. Have you ever been to a place where no one greeted you? Have you ever been to a place where someone just helped you? That's it. There's no hi. There's no bye. There's really not much, not even a friendly smile. Well, Walmart's got it going on, and I think in a language classroom we need to, because we have those customers, those people who are sitting before us are very nervous, and they need to have a friendly face. They need to see and feel something that will help them get through this darkness of language learning, English language learning. So let's be courteous to our customers. Again, I cannot say it enough. Each of these is a person. We learned in one of our previous lessons about traditional and communicative language teaching that these are people. And each of these people has a need. Each of them, they all have a need. And so when you look at your students, whether young or old, we need to look at them as people. You can look at them as students, but don't forget they're customers. And so let's look at some things that teachers say in the classroom that may not be quite courteous. Okay, let's start with this first one. I don't know about you, when I hear write your answer here or write your answer, this is the kind of face that I kind of get. This is what comes to mind. And it's very interesting. Some of the things that I hear from teachers and that of course I've used in the past, I type it into Google, and you get a certain stereotypical image. And in this case, write your answer here. This is the image that comes up to my mind. And this is the teacher who is not being very polite, not very courteous. This is the teacher who may think that they're the governor of the class, the owner of the class, whether the students/customers or student-customers are young or old. This is the teacher that says, I'm the teacher, I'm the boss, write your answer here. It could be the case where the teacher actually has a smile on their face, and I can't really make a smile at this point. Let's put it like that. Let's make a smile here. She may actually, that's a terrible smile, but she may actually, or he may actually have a smile, but the words don't match. Write your answer here. Doesn't quite match. So how can we make that a little kinder, a little softer, gentler, sweeter? A more courteous way could be, for example, please write your answer here. What's wrong with the please? It doesn't mean that you're less of a person if you say please to your students. Why not? Especially if they're older. Maybe if they're children, you can show them you can write your answers here. Remember, we're also modeling polite English when we're teaching. Can you imagine if they go to an English-speaking country and that's how they speak? Write your answer here. Give me your order. Something of that nature. Well, they're going to be surprised when people don't respond to them very well. But that's what their teacher modeled for them. That's what they learned from their teacher. So let's teach them not only how to say it, but model it for them. And so you can write your answer here. Could you write your answer here? Would you mind writing your answer here? Kindly write your answer here. Okay, these are just possibilities. These are not all of the answers. The whole point is, let's go from giving orders or giving direct imperative statements to a more courteous way. Let's look at another one. Open your book. If you are a little older, you may recognize this guy from a movie, and he's very authoritarian. And some teachers are too. Open your book. Okay, everybody, class, open your books too, and right there, you're giving an order. Now, in some educational settings, teachers are taught this is one way that you create that kind of authoritative impression with specifically young learners. However, in a language learning environment, let's remember the fact that these people are not just studying a subject, but they're studying a language. They're people, and if you remember the perspectives that we learned in a previous lesson, we want to work together with the student, not teacher over student, not dominating the student, but we want to facilitate. And so you and I both, not both, but hopefully everyone out there, we respond to courtesy, whatever our native language is. We respond to courtesy. And so let's give that courtesy to our students. How can we say this? A different way, maybe please open your book. Here goes with the please again. Let's open our book. I like the let's because it means we're in this together. We're going to do this together. I'm with you. I'm here with you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to facilitate with you. I'm going to facilitate you learning this language. So let's open our book too. Let's check out what we have today in our book. Please turn in your book too. Please go to page. So let's go to page, and let's go to page so-and-so in your book. All of these are just ideas to help make us more aware of how to be more courteous with our language learners. Okay, so you get the idea. Open your book. How about we're in this together? Moving on. Sometimes the student's very shy and they say something you can't hear, and the teacher gets this kind of unpleasant face, gives this gesture, I can't hear you, and how embarrassing that must be for the student, whether adult or child. It's really difficult, I think, if a teacher did that to me. So how can we make that more polite? I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you very well. You are taking some of the responsibility off of the student. Instead of making the student feel so minuscule, so small because you can't hear them, how about, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you very well. Maybe taking some of that blame. It's just courtesy. It doesn't mean that you're deaf. It doesn't mean that you're suffering hearing loss, but it just means you're helping and you're taking some of that burden off of the learner. You can see others. Would you mind speaking a little louder? Perhaps you could say, could I ask you to speak just a little louder? It's somewhat difficult for me to hear you. In whatever version you have, the idea is to kind of soften it. Rather than just say, I can't hear you, let's make it a little kinder, softer, gentler, sweeter for the student. Okay? Let's move on. Some teachers will tell the student, better say it like this. That's not how we say it. Better say like this. What's a better way to say better say? Well, let's have a look. I like to use expressions such as, okay, that's good, I understand you, but you can say, you could also say, we could also say, again, I understand you, good answer, I appreciate that you're talking to me, but we could also say, and then you express. You could also give them this one, I like to use this one also. Another way we could say it is like this. Now, of course, you being the teacher, the student is going to listen to you. The student is going to put a lot of stock into your another way. Okay, so another way to say it is perhaps to them, this is how you might want to say it. But you're saying it in a polite and courteous way. You're not hitting the student in the head with it. You're not making them feel some shame because they didn't say it the way that they're quote-unquote supposed to say it. Okay? And you can see the others here. You could also say it like this, etc. Sometimes teachers get a little upset because the students aren't quote-unquote paying attention. Pay attention, class. Pay attention. Pay attention. Okay, sometimes the teacher does this. Is it really necessary to say pay attention in that way? Maybe some teachers who are dealing with very energetic children might say, yes, I have to speak like this. But let's look at another way. Maybe you can point out to some, hey, what are you doing over there? What's that you have? What's that you're doing? What's so interesting over there? And it's the way you say it also. I like to say sometimes, hey, what you got there? Maybe the student's playing with a little iPod or something. Hey, what you got there? And then you show interest. And believe me, through experience, when you show interest, they're going to get quiet. Because they're wondering, why are you so close? Why are you so curious about this? Are you going to take it away? How are you going to respond? Because so many students have dealt with or have encountered the traditional teacher who's going to go over there and scold them. But if you approach it in a friendly way, with the idea to kind of facilitate and bring them back into the lesson, you might be surprised how they respond. Okay, I'm not discounting the fact sometimes you've got to raise your voice because it's a loud class. But if it's adults, certainly you do not want to speak like that. If it's children, it's going to have to be your call. But why not try a little honey instead of vinegar with your students? Let's move on. Sometimes the teacher just naturally, it doesn't mean that the teacher's mean. It doesn't mean that you're angry. It's the words that you say that, and the connotation, the connection that comes to mind. Especially with native speakers, these are the connections. With non-native speakers, maybe they don't realize that. But when you get non-native and native working together, it does come across as rude. And of course, we want to be as polite as we can when we interact with people, especially in a business setting or in a what other kind of setting, maybe an educational setting. We want to be polite and concerned for our students. So sometimes the teacher might say, answer the question, or just answer the question. What comes to my mind is this frustrated teacher, answer the question, you know. But the teacher doesn't necessarily have to act or look like that. It's just the words that they're saying. We could use such things as, okay, so what do you think? Do you need more time to think? How about this question? Can you answer this question? And so using that modal really softens it up, makes it polite, rather than this direct command, you know? Okay, let's move on. I don't understand what you said. Oh, those words are so scary, I think, to language learners, so damaging. They're trying to produce the best they can, perhaps, and what does the teacher say? I don't understand what you said. The face changes. You can see the eyes change, the eyebrows change, the forehead kind of gets compressed, the lips, the mouth, the whole feature of this, the teacher changes. I don't understand what you said, and I think that is so detrimental to a language learner. How could we make that a little softer, gentler for them? I'm sorry, I didn't follow what you said. Again, you're taking some of that burden off of the student, and you're helping them to understand, and it's not just them, or you're helping them to feel. It's not because I couldn't understand anything you said. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to follow what you said. Maybe my mind was elsewhere. Maybe I wasn't thinking clearly at the time when you spoke. But take some of the burden off of the student for being completely unintelligible. You can say, pardon me. That's another way you could say that. I don't know if I would use that too often, but it is a possibility. Would you mind repeating that? Could you say that again? I missed what you said. Could you please repeat that? Whatever the case, try to be a little more sensitive then. I don't understand what you said. Or even if you say, I don't understand what you said. The smile is there, but the words don't match the smile, if you catch what I'm saying. Okay? So let's try to be a little more courteous in this way. Just a few more, and we'll be done with this. Don't say it that way. Some teachers, instead of better say, they say, don't say it that way. Wow, that's kind of a slap in the face. Maybe we could say, you can say it like this. That's one way to say it, but we can also say it like this, etc. Either way, it's a lot more sensitive here than this kind of language. Okay? Again, we want to model for our students, not just tell them how they should speak, but model it for them. They're going to emulate a teacher who is kind and considerate, courteous, and they're also going to emulate the rude teachers, or the traditional teachers, or the teachers who don't know any different, just they're speaking directly. They're going to emulate them because you're a teacher. And in so many cultures around the world, the teacher is an authority. The teacher is someone to be looked up to and respected. So let's model proper language, courtesy. Here we have the military drill sergeant. Maybe read this. We talk to our students. There's a whiteboard behind me. Okay, everybody, read this. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds good if you're in a grammar class a grammar school class, elementary school class, you're probably going to hear that a lot. But the sad thing is you also hear it in adult classes, university classes. You're treating these people as if they're children, or you're treating them as if they're less than customers. Imagine you go to a bank and or a Walmart or somewhere, and they tell you, like, they read this. Maybe read this please would be nice, but read this, that's very direct. And even if you've been to places where they're rude, it still doesn't change the fact that that's wrong. If you're going to treat customers rude, why would they want to come back? Even if you have a good product, it's very difficult for them to overcome that part. Okay? But we're getting into marketing. That's a different story, maybe another video. But read this can be replaced with let's read this together. Okay, let's read this together. Can you read this paragraph for teachers? So again, we have the use of the modal. Let's read this paragraph. We're doing it together. I'm here to help you with the class and with learning English. Okay, let's move on. Again, another drill sergeant here, because that's what it sounds like sometimes. It's a drill sergeant. It's a military giving orders. These are orders. These are direct statements, imperatives. Answer the question. A more courteous way, maybe, could you answer this one for teacher? How about this question? What do you think, guys? Class, what do you think? How would you answer this question? Okay, so we can get away from the orders and be a little more courteous with our customers, whether children, adults, or even seniors, college level, university level, doesn't matter. The idea is to be more courteous. Okay, I like this one, Terminator. Wrong answer. I'll be back. This is the Terminator talk, right? There's no black or white there. Excuse me, there's no gray anywhere. Just the student answers the question very wrong. Now the teacher may not say wrong, but they'll say, oh, no, not correct. Whatever the case may be, it's going to be very direct in many cases. So I just associate that with the Terminator because all hope for having something of a good answer has been cut off, terminated. What can we do? A more courteous way may be, oh, well, let's try another one. Or can you think of a different answer? How about another one? Whatever the case is, and I think some of you could add your own statements here that would be polite. I challenge you. I don't have all of the answers, but the idea is here. How can we go from direct, imperative statements, giving orders to our students / customers, to being more courteous? Let's move on. Some teachers would like their students to say things in a complete sentence. Student answers something, say that in a complete sentence. Say that in a complete sentence. You must say that in a complete sentence. Whatever the case may be, doesn't sound very polite to the student who just tried to give an answer. Maybe they're not up for it. Maybe they're not in the mood for it. Maybe they don't know what to say. And so they're looking to you for help, not for orders. Not to make their anxiety levels increase, but so that they can express themselves in a safe environment. We need to be a little more courteous. We could say, can you try to say that in a sentence? Let's try to put that into a complete sentence. I'll help you. Teacher can write on the board or type on the computer screen or on the projector, whatever the case is, how the student could say it. Maybe the student cannot say, I went to my grandmother's house. So teacher can write it and then ask the student to say that. You just help them make a complete sentence. You could also say, you can also say, like this. Okay, and then the teacher can give a complete sentence. Again, I know you're probably getting tired of me saying this. The idea is, let's be courteous. Moving on. Favorite of some teachers is, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I want you to turn your book to. I want you to study. Oh, wow, that sounds so demanding. So demanding. How can we say it differently? You can say it like this. We can say it like this. Could you do this? Would you mind doing this? All right, everybody, let's do this. Okay. This context is saying it a different way, but we can also use that when giving some kind of instructions. All right, moving on. Give me. Teachers do, okay, give me an answer. Give me something for the blank. Give me something in your drawer, or whatever the case is. Teacher might say, give me, or I want you to. Could we simply put a modal then? Can you give me? Would you mind? Could you give? Okay, could you give teacher something? Moving on. Now, some teachers like to take the role of the advice giver. I've always found that to be kind of a sensitive thing in classes. If I could share my own personal view of a professional nature, we are not there to give advice about life. We are there to help our students learn English. So when we start getting into the you should, we're basically suggesting what we think is the course of action a student would be better off taking. But we don't know all the details. We are not counselors. We are not certified psychologists or whatever you want to classify that. We may want to avoid such things as you should. You could say something like, maybe from your observation, you might want to try to read more rather than you should read more. You sound like my mother. You could say you might want to. Now remember, I'm talking about adults and children. Maybe you're thinking only children. No. Sometimes teachers speak to grown adults, even older than themselves, in this way. You should. Well, first thing that enters my mind, who is this person to tell me what I'm supposed to do? Secondly, you're giving me advice that I didn't ask for, perhaps. And thirdly, we've gone outside of our role, which is to teach English. Okay? So maybe another way to say these things more courteous is you may want to, you could. It would be good for you if you could study more and you could pass the test. You could try getting up earlier and trying to study before school, whatever. But rather than the you should, mother, this is something that I think is good for you, maybe we could put it in a different way. Maybe we can phrase it differently. Okay, so let's move on. And then we have the little child here directing one more time. Okay, sometimes teachers will tell the students, do that one more time, or one more time class, one more round. I don't know. You'll just have to be aware of what it is you're saying that's direct. I would challenge you, record yourself and compare it with what I'm talking about here. You might catch yourself giving a lot of direct orders to your students. One more time, we could say, could you do that again, please? Okay, so how about one more? Let's try that again. Would you mind if we did that again? So guys, the bottom line here is that, sorry about that, the bottom line is, what we're trying to accomplish is, in this lesson, is identify where we are not being courteous. Giving direct orders or commands or imperatives are not always considered polite and courteous. We also want to model what it is that we want our students to learn. We need to understand that they are customers. We need to treat them in a courteous way. So I would challenge you to identify where you're giving a little too much direct order or orders, and discover how you can say things more courteously. And one more thing, you've got to keep that smile. Okay? You have to have that smile in class. You can't just be so, like like a persimmon face, or like you just sucked on a lemon for an hour before class. Have that smile in your class with all students, and they will just respond to that. And make sure that smile relates also to your courtesy. And both you, and more importantly, your learners will have a very good experience in your class. That's all for our lesson today. Thank you very much for your attention. Until next time, have a great class. Bye-bye.